Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. This week we're going to focus on a very inexpensive protein. We're talking tofu. Love it or hate it, it is fairly inexpensive. So these are still only $3 at the grocery store. You can get them anywhere between $2.49 and $3.99. It just depends what brand you get and if it's extra firm or soft. Now I used to be a tofu hater. I don't know if it was because the flavor, because there isn't any really, or the texture. However, over the years, I've grown to really enjoy it. Tofu will take on whatever flavor that you're cooking with it. So you can marinate it if you want. You can even put it into the sauce while it's in the pan, heating up with the vegetables, and it will take on that flavor. For texture, I prefer the extra firm or the firm, and I find if you freeze it, and then when you're ready to use it, it kind of has like a meaty texture. It's like chicken. I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again. So the soft stuff, so I do have soft stuff as well, because I will be making ground beef type meal with it. Soft is easier because you can take it apart a lot easier, and it has like that ground beef texture to it. So I'm gonna do 3 recipes this week. Hopefully you'll try one and maybe it'll change your mind. If not, that's okay too. But like I said, everything is pretty expensive. Meat is pretty expensive right now. And we do try to eat tofu at least once a week just to save on costs and to get away from the meat products. And I find tofu works really well because you can pretty much do whatever you do with meat, you can do with tofu as well. Okay, so let's get into it. We are making crispy tofu buffalo bites. So it's kind of like buffalo chicken bites, but we're going to use tofu instead. So I had this tofu in the freezer. So as you can see, it's kind of like a different texture. It is somewhat of a meaty like texture to it. So I took the tofu out and I put it between 2 towels on a plate with my cast iron on top just to get rid of any excess liquid. I cut them up into cubes, as you can see. I'm just going to add a little bit more cornstarch. The cornstarch is going to make it crisp up. All right, so we're just going to shake that around, make sure they all get covered. So I'm heating up my oven to 400 degrees. So I have a silicone lined baking sheet here. You can use parchment paper if you want. It's up to you, it doesn't matter. So we're going to put this tofu on, evenly space it as much as you can. So once that oven is heated up, I'm going to put it into the oven for 20 minutes. Then I'm going to take it out, flip it, and put it in for an extra 10 to 15. And while that is cooking, I'm going to be making the sauce that we're going to toss it in when it's all done cooking. So I'll be right back. So now we're going to be making the sauce for the tofu. Essentially, we're making buffalo wing sauce. So I have 3 tablespoons of butter that I have melted. I am going to add 6 tablespoons of Frank's Red Hot. And to that, this is going to take forever because it's slow coming out. To that, we're going to add a little bit of Worcester sauce. If you want, you can even add some Tabasco. I just don't have any, and I don't want it to be too spicy. I know when I used to work in a restaurant, we used to add a little bit of vinegar to our hot sauces as well. So you can make your sauce however you want to, but this is how I'm making mine. So that's 2 tablespoons, so I need 4 more. So we'll finish this sauce up, and we'll come back when the tofu is all nice and crispy, and then we'll finish it off and put it all together. All right, so the sauce is made. The tofu is out. I'm not sure if you can tell or not, but it is fairly crispy. It's not really mushy at all. So now we're just going to throw this into the sauce and mix it up. Serve it just like you would regular either chicken buffalo bites or buffalo chicken wings. I'm going to have mine with a little bit of ranch dressing. I've also cut up some peppers and carrots and celery. And because these are so nice and crisp, these are not going to get mushy. So you don't have to worry if you don't like tofu because of a texture thing. These are super crispy. So there you have it. Crispy buffalo tofu bites. Enjoy. So we have the pan on. I used some sesame oil on the bottom. If you don't have sesame oil, that's fine. Use whatever oil you have. It'd be good with coconut oil, olive oil, vegetable oil. Use what you have. So now we're going to add some flavor to this. So I'm going to add some turkey seasoning. You can use chicken as well. That just gives it a little bit of a different flavor. You can also use 5 spice or 7 spice if you have that. Because I didn't chop any garlic into that, I want a little bit of garlic flavor, so I'm going to add some garlic powder. We're going to mix that all up. And then we're going to add the sauces. So I'm going to use teriyaki and soy sauce today. You can use tamari if you want gluten-free. Stir-fry sauce would be good in this as well if you have it. If not, just use soy sauce. That's fine. I'm not going to add any salt because the soy sauce or tamari, if you're going to be using that, is a little bit salty. I'm just going to pour it out of the bottle. I don't know how much I'm using. And teriyaki sauce. Again, don't know how much I'm using. Use what you think is going to work the best for you. So we're just going to mix this around. We are going to let this basically cook down. The mushrooms are going to release moisture. So cook it down till there's pretty much no moisture left. It's probably going to take about 15 minutes or so. And just before it's ready to come off, I will add the cabbage. Just I find cabbage cooks very quickly. So we're going to let that cook down. So this has been bubbling away for about 10 minutes. Don't panic if you see it getting more saucy than the amount of sauce you put in. Like I said, the mushrooms will release moisture. So I'm just going to add some cabbage. I use the pre-shredded cabbage just because it's easier, tends to be less expensive, and doesn't make as much of a mess as doing it yourself. So I'm going to add that in, going to mix it around, and then we're going to let it cook off for a little bit longer. So the liquid is almost evaporated. Once it's done, I'm going to be putting it back in the bowl, letting it cool a little. One good thing about this filling or mixture, whatever you want to call it, is you can use it for a ton of different things. So we're going to be using it in spring rolls. You could use it in dumpling as well. If you use wonton wrappers, you could put it in a ramen style soup. It would be really good too, making like a stir-fried rice with it. So there's tons of different options for this. And the vegetables as well, you can throw whatever you want in. I just happen to have mushrooms and the cabbage and onions on hand, but this would be really good. I could have added shredded carrots too, I just forgot. So you could use carrots, you can use cabbage, like I said. You can even chop up some zucchini or eggplant. You can make this whatever you want. Add some frozen peas, some corn. So it's a really good way to use up extra vegetables. So like I said, this is almost done. I'm going to throw it back in the bowl, and then we'll get everything prepped to make the egg rolls. All right, so we are going to now assemble the spring rolls. So I'm using rice paper. I'm using the round. You can get it in square as well. So in this pie plate, I have some warm water. We're just going to stick this in enough to make them pliable. You don't have to put it in for a long time, because if you put them in for too long, they do end up tearing. Right, so you're not going to be able to see this on the counter, I don't think. No, not really. So I'm going to take a couple of spoonfuls of the filling that we made. Okay. And we're going to start to roll. It's just going to roll over, and as you're rolling, after the first one, just fold your sides in and continue to roll. So once this is done, we have a few options. You can eat them as is. You can throw them in your air fryer, or you can do it in the oven. I just tried one in a pan with some oil, but the rice paper gets really sticky, so it doesn't work out as well. So I am now going to do this in the oven. I am heating the oven up to 350. I'm going to put it on a silicone lined baking sheet and bake them for probably about 10 minutes. So I'm going to finish all these up and we'll be back in a minute. So here they are out of the oven. I had put a little bit of oil on this silicone mat as well, just in case they stuck, because rice paper tends to be sticky. So they're not as crispy and brown as I would have liked them, but that's okay. I'm going to eat them anyways. They are fine. You can pick them up. I'm just going to let them cool down a bit before I take them off the pan. I don't think I'm going to make a sauce for this, but you could use like sweet chili sauce. You could use a little bit of soy sauce and sesame oil, or you can just eat them plain as well. So there you have tofu spring rolls. We are making a tofu ground beef substitute right now. So I have taken the soft tofu and I've crumbled it up. You can use any type. I just find the soft tends to break apart a little bit easier than firm or extra firm. So into this bowl, we're going to add some soy sauce, probably about a tablespoon. I'm going to add some extra virgin olive oil, but you can use whatever oil you have on hand. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. Now, the nutritional yeast is going to give it somewhat of a meaty flavor. It's kind of a nutty flavor. You get this at most health food stores. I believe if you have a bulk barn close by, you can get it there as well. I'm going to add some garlic powder. Onion powder. Paprika. If you have smoked paprika, that works as well. And I'm only going to add a little bit of chili powder because my chili powder is pretty hot. Add it to whatever spiciness you like. So I'm only adding like a tiny bit. So we are going to mix this around. Make kind of like a paste. So now I'm going to add the tofu in there. This tofu was drained. So we're just going to mix this around gently so it's all coated. So once this is all coated, we are going to put it onto a baking sheet that I have put a little bit of oil on. I'm using a silicone mat as well, just so that it doesn't stick as much. And this is going to go into, oven's done, 400-degree oven. And you're going to cook it for 25 to 30 minutes. Check it every 10 minutes or so. Just mix it around to make sure that it's not burning. It almost has the color of ground beef, but once you cook it in the oven, it's going to brown up a little bit as well. So here's my pan. Just going to put this all on here. I'm going to spread it around. Kind of break it up a little bit as well so it doesn't get all stuck together. An even layer is probably the best so that everything cooks. Things cook quicker on the edge of the pan as opposed to the middle. So that's why every 10 minutes or so you're going to go in and you're going to just move it around a little. All right, so I'm going to throw this in the oven and I'll be back in about half an hour. So here it is all done. I did have to put it in for an extra 10 minutes just because the tofu wasn't drained enough. But it worked out pretty well. It is crispy. It tastes pretty good as well. So you can use this in anything you would use ground beef in. You can put it in pasta sauces. You can put it in lasagna sauce if you want to make lasagna, tacos. I think I'm going to make a Big Mac salad with this. So I'm going to get that done and eat dinner and give it a shot. So there you have 3 different recipes for tofu. I'm going to encourage you, if you don't like tofu, just to give it a try. If you marinate it or cook it in a sauce long enough, it will take on that flavor. So it's not just pasty nothingness, I guess. I am going to say also, if you are a texture person and you don't like certain textures, you might want to make the wraps with a wonton instead of a rice paper. Rice paper tends to get a little bit chewy. They would also crisp up better if you put them in the oven or the air fryer or fry them as well. But other than that, they tasted delicious. The filling was amazing. So hopefully this will encourage you to try tofu. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.